Hey, how y'all doing today? I'm Tim Glass with a word on the word. While you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have new subscribers. Let's bump that thing on up to double digits. And then hit the notification bell. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new content. Now, I try to be pretty consistent uh, and upload the new content Monday evenings or Tuesday sometime. I prefer Tuesday, but I'm usually kind of busy on Tuesday, so most of the time it's going to happen Monday afternoon. And then, hey, go ahead and hit that share button and share the good news of Jesus Christ with all your friends and family, because there's no better news that we can share than the good news of Christ. Now, here's a word on the word. We're continuing our Lenten journey, and we're looking in the book of Exodus at the Passover. And we're in chapter 12. And I want to start out this week in verse 24. And this is the Lord saying, or speaking. And you shall observe this event as an ordinance for you and your children forever. And it will come about when you enter the land which the Lord will give you, as he has promised, that you shall observe this rite. And it will come about when your children will say to you, what does this rite mean to you? That you shall say, it is a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, who passed over the houses of the son of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, but spared our homes. And the people bowed low and worshipped. This is really the beginning of the forming of the religious aspect of God's people. I won't get into the whole history because you have had sacrifices and things up until this point. You know, and go back to Abraham and all that. But as far as a community, the family of God coming together and worshiping and having rules and regulations and rites and commemorations, all these things, God is beginning to bring them to this experience. One of the things that Moses would tell Pharaoh is, let my people go so that we can go worship the Lord our God. So that's what, God had in mind, to bring his people back out and establish, the religion of the Jewish people, the true religion for the true God. Okay. Now, we're going to skip a little bit ahead, verse or chapter 13. Now it came about when Pharaoh had let the people go. This is verse 17 of chapter 13, by the way. It came about when Pharaoh had let the people go that God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, even though it was near. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war, and they return to Egypt. Hence God led his people around by the way of the wilderness to the Red Sea, and the sons of Israel went up in marital array from the land of Egypt. I'll move forward. We're in chapter 14, and we're going to start in verse 5. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his servants had a change of heart towards the people, and they said, what is this we have done, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made his chariots ready and took his people with him. And he took 600 select chariots and all the other chariots of Egypt with the officers all over them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he chased after the sons of Israel, who were going out boldly. Then the Egyptians chased them with all the horses and the chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen, and his army, and they overtook them camping by the sea. And as Pharaoh drew near, this is verse 10, the sons of Israel looked, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they became very frightened. So the sons of Israel cried out to the Lord. They had experienced the Passover deliverance. They had been freed from the wrath, they had been freed from the slavery of Pharaoh. And they were led out by God. But God didn't give them the easy way out. Or we say the shorter way out, because there was impending war with the Philistines if they went that way, and then they would tremble and be afraid and just run back to Egypt. So the Lord does these series of miraculous things, not forgetting the plagues that they had witnessed on the Egyptians up until the Passover. Then the Passover, which was finally where, Pharaoh had a brief bout of, okay, look, just get out of here, okay? And then after they're gone, and then he says, why did we do this? Because, these people were serving us, and, so let's go get them back. So they start heading out towards the wilderness, and I'm sure that they knew that, man, they're right up against the sea. We've got them trapped, and we'll bring them back, and that'll be the end of that. And so we see that when they see the Egyptians coming back after them, they cried out to the Lord because they became very frightened. And I'll sum this up in verse 11 and 12. And then they said to Moses, "Is it because there were no graves in Egypt that you have taken us to die in the wilderness? Why have you dealt with us in this way, bringing us out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we spoke to you in Egypt, saying, 'Leave us alone, for we may serve, so that we may serve the Egyptians'? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." As we're starting this Lenten journey, life gets hard, and we have this tendency to be negative. I know I do anyway, and I think it's human nature. We see the miracles of God in our life. We have the Holy Word of God to go back and read and learn these lessons and see how God not just brings his people out of slavery, but provides, for what they need. And we are so quick to doubt, even after witnessing what we witness. It's momentary, and then it's the next thing. And we're going, would it be better for us to just die in Egypt as slaves than to come out here and die in the wilderness? And I've thought about this as a reflection for this week, because I'm going to move on. I promise you, we're eventually going to get through this. But this really struck me. Um, would it be better if we were left in our slavery to sin? Would it be better if we just stop our wilderness journey to let the slavery of sin overtake us and take us back into that bondage? Christ came to deliver us. And the thing about covenants with God is faithful. God will never go back on his promise. But you know, we have that tendency. We get frightened. We get overwhelmed. We get distracted. And we let that start questioning our faith. We let that doubt start creeping in, even though we have experienced the deliverance of God, even though we've seen how he's worked these things out in our lives, even though we have the testimony of over 5,000 years of God's promises to his people, we see that we are a stiff-necked people. We're hard-headed. We're prone to sin. We're prone to doubt because we tend to believe what we see. We tend to believe what we hear. And if you hear the negative stuff long enough, if you become comfortable and complacent in your own circumstances, why would you think you would be better off in Egypt as a slave in bondage to the Pharaoh? Why do you think that you would be better off in that situation than have the freedom that you have in God? It's a question of the ages, and we can answer it in different ways in different times and seasons of our lives. I'm sure. I know I can. I mean, there's times where I feel like I'm like Moses on the mountaintop, having that experience with God, and oh, nothing can shake my faith. And then I come back down, to the foot of the mountain. Reality hits again, and I'm just like, oh, this is really frustrating. But the thing is, God is with us wherever we go, and God is in control of these things. If I let him, if in my covenant relationship with him, knowing that he's going to be the faithful one, I'm the one that tends to wander. I'm the one that tends to slide back into the bondage of sin. He's freed me from that. I need to take advantage of that. I need to live in his promises. When he said, death, where is your sting? Sin, Jesus has the power. He defeated the power of sin and death. And yet I let this power of sin and the fear of death reign over me because I refuse to let it go. For whatever reason, for the humanity, for what I know, from what I see, from what I hear, from what I experience. This is what I know, and I'm scared. I get frightened of the unknown. And I think that this is our big thing. I think it was the thing for the Israelites here. Would it be better to stay in Egypt, to stay with what they knew, than to go out and serve God, something entirely new that they had not experienced before? Change is scary. Getting to the point where you can change is scary. the new experiences can be exciting. You can be, ready to to leave at the drop of a hat. When the death angel appears and smites Egypt and takes out um, uh, part of your enemies because of the judgment that has fallen upon them. We can see these mighty works, and yet at the same time we're ready, but we're not ready. And what I want us to do is to be ready, is to be willing to say, no, it's better to die in the wilderness if that wilderness that we're in is pursuing God, is pursuing His righteousness, is living out the Beatitudes. That's what we're called to do, guys. Look, I appreciate your time. I promise we're going to move through this, but hey, it's Lent. Let's reflect on these things. Let's reflect on our responses to letting go of the bondage of sin in our lives, the strongholds that have us, that we can grow deeper in our relationship with God and truly love Him with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. Guys, I appreciate your time. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.